So we're back chatting about a few things, digital marketing and AI. And the first thing I want to look at, which is something really exciting, is ChatGPT's new agent mode. Now it is rolling out, so if you don't see it yet, maybe just wait a few more days. It is only available for the paid subscriptions at this stage, but you'll be able to select a tool section here and hit agent mode. And what this does is actually goes and creates a virtual terminal within your screen, and then it goes off and does whatever instructions that you're giving it. So you can leave your computer, go grab a cup of coffee, have another meeting. There are some caveats. It sometimes takes a little bit of time to process these things. And often if you ask it to do specific instructions, which might require logins, you would have to actually take over control of the computer again. But today I'd like to test out, and it's actually my first test with this today. I'm going to ask it to go look for a number of self-storage companies in and around Southampton. I've always wanted to go to Southampton. And then create a list of self-storage facilities showing the pricing. I've asked for the contents of a 2-bedroom home, so it'll be interesting to see how it interprets that, as well as looking at a recommended supplier based on its Google review rating. So we're going to go ahead and click go, and it should open up a little window and start thinking through what it should be doing to find that information. We're not going to hang around and wait for it to come up with the answer, because it may take a few minutes. But jumping on to the next piece of news, and this is really interesting. Google's announced, as they're launching more and more AI products, that they've got a way that you can have search AI-powered calling to local businesses. Now, this is the little video that they've launched with it. But essentially, your Google profiles, you'll see, have AI check this for me. And this particular example is a pet grooming facility. You ask a couple of questions, and based on your answers, it goes ahead and phones the business on your behalf, so that you don't have to check for or try and get the information or even pick up the phone, and then just provides that information for you. For a user, obviously this is great news. For businesses, it does mean we might need to have our staff trained on how to answer these telephone calls, and also in AI overviews, make sure that those type of queries that people are generally phoning us for are content that we are producing on our website, so that those questions can be answered. But a really interesting development. If you see it in the wild, please let me know. But it is a beta product that they've announced will be coming up shortly. Then also Google has announced that you can actually use Gemini to chat to your Google Analytics data. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat here. It's not as simple as jumping into Gemini. You'd actually have to use these command line interface programs, and you'd be able to download that off of GitHub. So I'll include all these links if you wanted to download that. But you should be able to connect your Google Analytics data and then ask general natural language queries. You know, when is the most popular day for people visiting my site? Is that also the most popular day for conversions? And other demographic data. What's the best type of visitor that will convert with the highest percentage chance? So a lot of interesting information can be gained from that, and you don't necessarily need to be a marketer to understand and ask those questions and get those answers straight out of the AI engine. There was also a recent Google event, the Asia Pacific event. There's a day 1, there's also a day 2, but I wanted to pull out a couple of highlights from the announcements. They do mention some crawl errors, so 404 and 405 errors, or 501 errors. Those types of errors will mean that your search engines will not crawl your website as often. That's nothing new really, but it is something that you want to go and have a look at. And then I think the 2 other interesting points for me were that the fastest growing segment of searchers are the Gen Zs, the age 18 to 24. And so that should define how we're producing content. And you'll know from a few weeks ago, we announced that Meta is now indexed within Google searches. So social is starting to be indexed on generic Google searches. and our younger generation, who's more active on those platforms, certainly TikTok as well, are searching in a much more rapid rate. Additionally, Lens usage grew by 65% year on year. What is Lens? If you haven't used it, on your mobile device, you can click to take a picture or share an image, and Google will use that to make a search. And so that huge growth is something that we're seeing come through. I certainly used it myself. Actually, I was looking for a new pair of headphones, and I took a picture of the two types that I was looking at and had AI tell me the pros and cons of those. So that type of search is being more frequent. What can we really do as self-storage owners? I think it's just to take a look to make sure that we do actually have a number of images which are labeled correctly on our website and are the right size. So often we see some images loaded which are just enormous file sizes, which not only slowing down your website, but is less of a chance for us to start ranking in these AI overviews as well. Interestingly, we also see as Gen Z is searching more, we're seeing the query length or the number of words used in searches is increasing, and it's becoming more conversational. So the rise of voice search, just instead of typing, chatting into your phone, looking for a search query. And because AIs and LLMs are conversational, people are typing in much larger queries to try and find the answers that they're looking for. Another interesting point based on the same principle is the rise of what is termed the llms.txt. So it was actually coined or pushed forward by Jeremy Howard. He is the founder of fast.ai. And essentially what he's saying is similar to a robots.txt file, we should create on our websites a specific file for these large language models to index our website that might be easier for them and hopefully would get our website ranking much higher. I'm a little bit skeptical on this one at this stage, although it is very new. There are a number of reasons. I think potentially having 2 points of truth on your website, in other words, your website content as well as your LLMS content, may well be contradictory, and then you're trying to keep up to date both elements. I also think that these chat engines are quite good at indexing the websites we've currently got. So following best SEO practice will probably be fine. And we can, on your robots.txt file, you can already say, please don't follow these pages or don't go here or don't index them. But we also know that that's not, although it's an instruction, it's not a rule. And many of these engines can just ignore that and go ahead and index the page in any event. It's something to be aware of, potentially try out. If you're an early adopter and you get good results, well, then you're ahead of the game until everybody else catches up. As I said, I'm still a little bit skeptical of the full adoption of this going forward. On Google Ads, we also found a really interesting article through Search Engine Land, which said that they've seen the ability to add negative keywords in Performance Max campaigns. Now, if you're not familiar with Performance Max campaigns, it essentially does what it says on the tin, the maximum performance. You give Google Ads your budget, your conversions goals, your target audience, and then it goes ahead and finds inventory wherever it can on YouTube, on Gmail, on Google Maps, on search, everything that it has control over to get you the maximum number of conversions for the budget that you have. And typically in the past, there was very little control, and AI was able to do this for you. We've tested this probably since it launched. I think it was in 2021. And each time our search specialists have outperformed the AI. And I think for the first time this year, we've had a number of Performance Max campaigns outperform our traditional campaigns. Now, there are always caveats with that. There are certainly many cases where we wouldn't use Performance Max, and in fact, highly advise not using Performance Max, specifically in the self-storage industry. But the advancement here is that you're now able to add negative keywords in. So you can remove elements like, typically, if you have a good brand awareness or recognition, you could potentially remove your brand name, and ideally you'd be able to pick up that click organically and not pay for it through your Performance Max. Staying with Google Ads, and this isn't actually an announcement directly from Google because it looks like it's still in beta phase, but quite a reputable resource we spotted on LinkedIn mentioned that for your responsive search ads, so what those are is you essentially provide headlines and descriptions, and Google will interchange what it thinks works best, learning what's the best converting ad for you. It was really difficult in the past to understand which one of these headlines or descriptions was driving performance. It was the performance was bunched together as an ad as a whole set. And now we're actually able to pull out very specific data for each one of these headlines and descriptions, so we can understand exactly what drove the best converting ads, or what was the best copy. Why that's important? Because it allows us to A/B test in a much clearer way. We can go and add in what we think are the best USPs based on price, location, discount vouchers, or anything like that. Add that copy in and actually see how it performs against the rest of our creatives and USPs. And I think now we can head back and see what our ChatGPT came up with. So here's the window, and it looks like it's actually still running through a couple of elements, looking at various operators. So what we'll do is we'll let that run, and once it comes through, we'll share again what those results are. Okay, so we are back, and now we can see the results of my ChatGPT agent. And it said it worked for 15 seconds, but you can see there's a couple of 10 minutes it stopped, it worked again. I took some control. What I needed to do, I found that quite a few of the websites it visited had a verify you're a human user. We were struggling to get through quite a few of those. And interestingly, a lot of the pages were 404s, in other words, not found. So what it was searching for, it was landing on various brands, and those pages weren't available, just highlighting how really important it is to make sure that all of our pages are ranking, and we need an SEO expert for that. Then it worked for another 11 minutes, and it's given me a table here of some recommendations. It's got a number of facilities, estimated pricing, as well as your Google review ratings on this side. And it's decided that 100 to 130 square foot is the right size space for my 2-bedroom home. And it's also given me some price guidelines here for providers that don't typically have pricing available on the website, or certainly it wasn't able to find it. And then right at the bottom, I asked for recommendation, and it said I should probably go with Sureguard Southampton. It's a 100 square foot unit, £176 per month. Now, I actually did go look on the website. That's pretty accurate. It's got a 4.8 out of 5 rating on Google, which was also accurate. And there's a first month at £1 promotional offer. Interestingly, it also said if you're looking for a container option, it gave me that as an option. And if I'm looking for 24-hour access or individually alarmed rooms, I might prefer a ready, steady store. It didn't tell me if any of the other options did or didn't have that. And I suppose a follow-up question here would be looking for these unique selling points that I might specifically want as a customer for extended access hours or security. And that's the beauty of the conversational tool. It also has highlighted a whole bunch of resources, but really what the big takeaway here is what we're putting on our websites, the information, the data, the content that we're creating is going to become really important so that queries like these can be answered, and we're the ones that show. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the update, and hopefully we'll have a bit more news. As you can see, things they keep moving, and therein lies the opportunity.